Toledo poet, or one of my favorite. He was my favorite at the time. Now I have many favorite Toledo poets, but I didn't know that many back then. But he's still fabulous. Mr. John Dorsey. He inspired me saying, you don't need a fucking microphone, all you need is a voice and a good word. So here's a poem I wrote for John Dorsey. I call it, now you might know that Dorsey wrote a book called Sodomy is a City in New Jersey. So I called this a poem like John Dorsey by John Burroughs, aka Sod Dummy. I want to write a poem in John Dorsey's style, so Dylan will call me an underground man. I want to write a poem like John Dorsey just to prove I can. But would John Dorsey be caught dead writing in rhyme even half the time? And anyway, I don't have a Rocky Balboa t-shirt to wear under my sport coat. And I can't find orange pants or a fuzzy top hat like that anywhere. And the Collingwood Art Center in Toledo, where he lays his head, reminds me of the piano tuning school I lived in when I was 18. It used to be a YMCA, and when the last student graduated and the owner died, his daughter, who was every bit as hot as my second grade teacher, dismissed the students, sold the pianos, padlocked the communal kitchen, and allowed the city of Elyria to tear it down to make room for a justice center. I want to write a poem like John Dorsey, but when I see the name Toledo, I think of a painting by Goya, which reminds me of how our colonizing forefathers taught us to mispronounce Toledo. And unlike John, I never met Gregory Corso, and I made myself forget the time my mom asked me if I was gay. And I had to Google Swank magazine, and D.E. O'Brava probably won't publish my book, and I haven't finished writing it anyway. And Scott Wanberg and S.A. Griffin probably won't care to write one with me. And I don't give one flying fuck about Harvey Keitel, let alone 3. I'm my own actor. Woo! I am my own actor even if I've never spent a night in Los Angeles or New York City or at Tremont watching the moon come out on Steve Goldberg's balcony. And unlike John Dorsey, I may never read in the Bowery Poetry Club or have the balls to take a bus to Kansas City or California or co-host a reading with Michael Grover. And I hate gummy bears. And though I thought myself well acquainted with the ins and outs of sodomy, I needed John Dorsey to tell me it's a city in New Jersey. It's not easy being a word boxing stallion like John Dorsey, going the distance with Apollo, knocking out Creed in the sequel. It's not easy getting into a ring with Mr. T or following James Brown, especially with a Cold War win, only to wind up broke again, coaching Tommy Morrison in Rocky V. And I'm not even sure I'm up to being a heavyweight champion of poetry like John Dorsey, as long as that building in Elyria, where the piano tuning school used to stand, is called a justice center. And anyway, trying to write poetry like John Dorsey or like anyone else is so unlike John Dorsey. So instead, I'll be content to call him my friend, have a few laughs with him at our mutual expense, and everywhere I go, call him my brother and love him, except maybe in New Jersey.